Then do you just need us to log you out of it, or do you need to do it?
Yeah, just log out.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
We are now.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome to the March 3rd, 2021 reorganization and regular meeting of the Washington County Board of Elections. Does the public wish to comment?
Alex Pavlov, Secretary of State's office. I would like to make one comment. I dropped in the other day and was thrilled to hear about the work your staff did to help apprehend somebody that was attempting to fraudulently register a voter. It's my understanding that that case has progressed and there's a prosecution underway. And so thank you for your hard work in helping us maintain integrity in our elections.
Thank you. We have a staff that fervently watches the ID channel. So they were very excited to review the tapes to actually find the gentleman and help the sheriff's office here. So
Has that been brought here? I don't.
yeah. Well, he lived in Athens County and they brought him back over here, and was he in the grand jury? The last grand jury?
Yeah, he was indicted in the last grand jury. So we saw it in the paper.
Did you cut it out and put it up?
No, we should have. I might still have that paper, so I don't know.
Otherwise, thank you for your continued hard work.
Did anyone get, well, I believe we were sent the minutes and I know they're in our bundle.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few corrections.
Okay.
Sellers is spelled with 2 E's.
Two
If you
E's,
wanna just
okay.
Fix that on
Okay.
instance.
I will check.
And then on page 2, second sentence at the top there, first sentence is at the top. We're missing a not. Counsel at large seat but did not complete the petition correctly.
Okay, what should I say here?
It should read, did not complete the petition
Oh,
correctly.
did not, yes, you're right. Okay.
That's all I have.
Anyone else have any other corrections? If not, can we have a motion to accept the minutes as corrected so that when they're corrected, we can go ahead and sign them?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll get these.
All right. Well, I guess we can do the bills. They're very modest.
Yeah, this time they
This
actually are.
is one of these feel-good moments.
I just got a question, is the Sutton link, did it go up for a reason?
Yeah, but they were saying that they didn't receive one of our payments. So that's why this is like doubled for, although I don't know if it got lost in the mail. When I look back, we send a payment every month. So
Do we actually do the payment ourselves?
the auditor's office sends them in. But I mean, they had cut a check. They give us like a list of checks that they cut for us each time. And they have cut the check, so.
Well, I know for a fact in my office, there's quite a few things that get lost.
So, yeah, so I don't know if that, or if it got lost in the mail maybe on the way to them.
I'd say that's
Well,
probably
what
what
we're
happened.
talking about.
Yeah.
It's happening a lot.
So
More than usual.
Did they charge us anything for
I
this?
think there was a $10 late fee on it.
And then just make
So but this check's already been mailed to them now, so.
Oh, the two.
The two, yeah.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve the bill.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Why don't we skip down past correspondence? I think we ought to probably get our reorganization done.
And we have, there's a copy of the directive there with our steps to go through. It's the 2020-26.
I think the first order of business, if I remember correctly, is a reorganization chairperson.
And I make a motion to make Dennis Knight the temporary chairperson.
Who?
You,
Wait a minute, can you make the temporary
Can make a difference.
oh, it doesn't? Okay. Okay.
Gee, thanks. Was there a second to? Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I guess any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. All right, then I think the next order of business is a motion to appoint, or nominate the, director.
yes.
I'll make a motion to nominate Mandy Amos as director.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, there's a motion and second. Any, discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? I think the next order of business is the, nomination of the deputy director.
Yes.
And I'll make a motion that we nominate Karen Pulaski.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Last but not least, then I think we come to the chairman.
Well, question, I would nominate you, Dennis, if you wanted, or you and Glenn, I mean.
Glenn and I talked, and unless Glenn changed his mind, I'm the lucky guy.
Okay.
Because I'm closer when it comes to, running it, as you know, Charlie, and signing checks
Right.
and whatnot.
Although, whenever if we ever reorganize and you become chair, I'll be glad to take things down to Florida if you're there.
Okay.
I'm willing to take one for the team.
Well, I'll
for
tell you
that,
that.
Charlie.
Yeah.
That's
And if
right.
you need to stay overnight, I'm gonna have a bedroom for you, so no problem.
Travel to Florida, I go to Florida.
Yeah. Poor Mandy, the best she gets is Front Street.
Yeah.
I guess at least I get a river view.
Yeah, exactly.
At least,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Water view, you know.
Motion for that.
I moved that Dennis Sight be the director.
Second,
The
Chairman.
chair.
chairman,
Please. Was there a second?
yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, are we reorganized?
Guys, real quick, I do want to take a step back here. Not a big deal, but the person making the motion to nominate the deputy director must be of the same political party. And so are we,
No.
yeah, okay, yeah, do you guys want to do that again? Just to
Yeah,
be
just
100%?
rescind, okay.
All right, Glenn, you want to move?
I moved Dennis Sight.
No,
Or for
Karen.
Karen.
Oh,
You had to be of my party.
I moved that Karen be the deputy director.
All right, I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for that, Alex. I didn't
We're
realize that.
I had to double check on that. I just pulled the director.
No, you're
Oh,
right.
did you?
I didn't say anything, but I knew that was what you had to do.
Okay.
All right, yep, so that's,
So we're back in business?
Yep.
So we're up to correspondence.
yeah, right, and we had a few different directives,
Yeah,
listed there. We can, the 2021-09 House Bill 500, like townships and school boards and other entities can now submit questions and issues to us electronically. So instead of having to bring their paperwork in person, they can email it to us and we can accept it that way. So we have a special email address already set up to receive those.
And Mandy and I will receive both of those.
We're set up to.
So, I need to, does anyone know if the Township Association of Washington County is meeting yet? I wish Jed was here.
Yeah, he would probably know.
Because I think it's something that maybe Mandy and I, or if a board member, or, maybe whoever, that we probably need to go and explain this to them. Because I've been trying to think of an email, trying to, how we can.
yeah. Well, I think a tutorial, quite frankly, if you could take a laptop,
Okay.
I think you'd want to sit down and do here's step one.
Do you know, Alex, if we can
Step
do
two.
that, just to, like, if there's if we don't
Because all
actually
they have to do is email it, they don't have to go.
send
to
it, just to show them a
special
tutorial how to,
Well, they
how
have
to
to
submit
prepare it.
the
Who's preparing?
It
resolutions.
would be Allison probably.
I don't have time for
Yeah.
it for you.
Okay, I can call Allison and ask.
Yeah.
Or like if it's a
off the
district,
top,
I could say,
sounds
yeah,
fine
we
to
want
me,
yours that
Okay.
Might as well double
do
check.
it.
Okay,
So then just email a PDF of the.
Yeah, of the
Yeah.
resolutions.
And I'm assuming it would have to come in PDF, so we can't change it.
yes.
So.
In other words, we have to tell them
Because
if
they would-
there's an error, but we figured she's already seen it.
Now-
Otherwise,
Well, it has to have theirs, they all have to have their signatures on them.
electronic or?
No, original signatures.
To be scanned.
So it would have to be
So then
scanned in, so it would
scan.
probably be a PDF anyway, so that they.
Do the school districts have to do that as well, submitted
Yeah.
to them? Okay, so then I think they'll be a little easier to teach. Obviously, they're used to, doing things electronically and stuff, so.
Again, it's an option.
Okay.
Oh, this isn't mandatory, they can still
I
bring it
don't
in?
know, I'm asking, is it an option or mandatory?
No, it's an option.
It still is.
They can still come in person. It just gives them an
So if
extra
you wanna
option if
sign
they
and
can't
then
make it
send one
in
that way.
or something.
I got an extra one too.
Okay.
Email it to us instead, but it has to come on this.
It's the minutes.
All right.
Would you like an agenda
Right.
as well?
I want to thank you though.
So that keeps, so our special email will, again, is good for.
Yeah, and we can only give it out to people who, or groups that are allowed to send us questions and issues.
Right,
So the general public would not have the email address.
until somebody.
And they can't
Right.
ask questions, can they ask questions on that email,
I
or do they
don't
still
think so.
want
I think that it's only supposed to be
Yeah.
for submitting.
for just submitting the resolution?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you.
And then there's copies there of the other, Directive 2021-10, the use of secure receptacles for like our ballot drop boxes here at the office.
Right, and so we're still in compliance, right, with
Yes.
regard to it, because it's on premises, for lack of a better way of putting it, and so forth.
And then the other directive, 2021-11, is what our ballot will look like for this election. And I do have one copy here of what we've got prepared so far. So if anyone wants to look at those. And then advisory, the 2021-02 recount charges and campaign finance contribution limits were updated, so that you've got a copy of those.
Now, is that something, do we do anything proactive to send out that campaign finance contribution limits to the two-party chairs at least, or something, to
we
make sure no one
haven't.
runs afoul of the, if they haven't caught it, or just as a reminder of. oh,
We
by the
haven't
way.
sent it out before, but we could do that.
Yeah, we could do that, we
So that wouldn't be too.
could possibly also post
Well,
it on our
might be
website.
handy just so you didn't turn around and, find something and
Mhm.
someone goes, gee, I didn't know.
And it might affect statewide candidates more than,
Right,
or district-wide candidates at least more than our local, but we can send it to them so they'll have a record of it.
alright, so pretty much our correspondence, our business, we've reorganized. And now we have ballot orders, and I think you gave us a chart,
Yeah.
kind of a long piece of paper that's colorful. And why don't you go ahead and explain it to us? You were kind enough to tell me, but.
Yeah, for.
It's a long sheet here.
Yeah, this election was kind of hard to go back because we didn't have anything that had all the same things on the ballot at one election to look back at to see how many ballots to order. So the first up in the top left-hand corner, it has the Belpre precincts, the Belpre 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. We only need nonpartisan ballots for Belpre 4A because they have the liquor option that's on. So we have there that, like 150 people had voted in the last election in Belgrade 4A that I could find that would at least be a similar type one. So normally, before we got our touch screens, we would have to order this where it has the amount of the 1.05, which would have meant we would order like 158 ballots, which we would have had to round up to 175 for the way they're printed. But what we've been doing now is ordering 30% of the number of those ballots to have paper ballots, and that because most people will be voting on the touchscreen machines. So if you round up to 45, so they come in groups of 25, the ballots, then in the yellow column there, the amount to order, we order 50 ballots for that, so that we'd have those available. And then I've got the FBT paper rolls. That column is just kind of an estimate on how many of the Freedom Vote paper rolls we provide to them. We still have some more because there's a column for that in the Republican, which is, we don't have a Democratic primary in Belgrade because there was no Democratic candidates filed at all. So they'll just have a Republican ballot, and then in Belgrade 4A, they could choose an issues only ballot. So if you go over there to the right of where the nonpartisan ones are, those are the Republican numbers. And so in the yellow column, I was thinking the total order 150 paper ballots for that, for Belgrade. So if you add the two together, it'd be 200 all together.
Do we,
Wait a minute, what, how do we, I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, this first yellow column
It's for the just issues
is
only.
issues only.
Right.
And then this is the, what I'll call the primary.
Yeah.
Okay. So those will be ours. And then these are all ours up here as well, the
Right.
25, 20. And this number that we go back to, the 150 or the 98 or 73,
Mhm.
et cetera, that included folks who came here or ballot in, or is that human beings that actually appeared?
No, that was total.
Right, so we're gonna be safe because there'll be some folks that'll probably visit with us or send in an
To do the mail,
absentee
yeah.
to do the mail. So we should be, those numbers should be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
and surprisingly, from the November general election, a number of Belfry residents come up here and vote early.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
think if
quite
they're
a
in
few of
town
them.
doing things and they go ahead, so,
Right,
Now, the fact that this is an alcohol, vote, that's gonna be emotional, that might bring more people.
they could,
Am I wrong, or?
well, it's,
well, I guess the advantage that we have is, these are gonna be orders we're going to have fulfilled by a printing company,
Right.
the yellow.
Yeah.
So if we see that there's a large turnout to us, we can always
We can
print
print
off
some
an
here.
extra
Yeah.
25, 50 ballots that shouldn't take too long on our system.
Yeah, okay.
And either deliver them during the day or have already delivered them when the precinct folks come in for their Monday meeting and
Right.
taking stuff
Yeah,
out
if
of
we
their
see ahead
ballot
of time,
bags.
there's a lot of,
So I
And
still
most-
think we're comfortable.
yeah, and hopefully most people would be voting on the touch screens, so they wouldn't be asking for
And
it.
in the percentage right now, most people are going to the touchscreen. aren't they?
Yeah, most
Yes, they
people
are.
So percentage wise, they're gonna keep going.
So,
And if they choose a Republican ballot, that liquor option will also be on there. So,
right.
yeah.
So I think we have, yeah. I think we'll be in good shape.
so Belfry 4A has a contested, do they have a contested,
Yeah,
Republican?
because they're citywide, because it's, the, council president. And
Oh, that's
then-
right, yeah.
So- And then for, I think it was their auditor,
Auditor,
actually
yeah.
was the contested. So it'll be, so those are both citywide, so.
So really, if you're going to stay unaffiliated or you're a Democrat, you're gonna be looking at an issues only or an issues only on the machine.
So, which you can only do in 4A, if
Right.
you live in 4A. So otherwise you wouldn't have anything to vote on,
Right,
you know?
yeah, right. So you're really coming for that issue, if your desire is to stay unaffiliated
Right.
or a Democrat.
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, now why don't you go ahead and explain Marietta?
So then down below that, numbers in the column that's the precincts, it's 6 through 15, is the Marietta city precincts. So they will have the school levy that's on the ballot for Marietta city schools. And they had candidates, of course, that turned in, but none of those were enough to be contested. So, like for council at large, there was only one Republican, filed, and for any of the other races, there was just one Republican that filed. So there's no contest between any of those candidates. So Alex, I don't know if you would know, but I sent to the legal intake if we would have to print Republican ballots or not. Since none of those are contested, or if we could do only the issues only ballots for the school levy.
It's a good question, and I don't have an answer for you, but I can call legal intake and see if they can get back to you more promptly.
Okay, because then it's same on the Democratic side. We had Democratic candidates file for some offices, but not more than the number, of seats that are available. So there's no contest there. So we're waiting to see if we have to order Republican or Democratic ballots.
And actually, Belfry, there's one at-large seat open that nobody filed for.
Yeah, because we only had 2 Republicans file for at-large, and there's 3 seats.
So the one, if you remember last month, the one that was filing in the first ward in
Yeah.
Belfry didn't have enough signatures. We have since spoken to legal intake and to him, and he's considering doing either
I think a write-in
He's
is what
gonna
he's
do a
really
write-in.
considering, yeah.
for that seat at large, which kind of helps him, he says personally, because he's got more supporters across the city than possibly right there in his own ward, so.
Yeah. So, and the deadline for that, for write-in for the general is, I think, August something, like 26th or.
Did he withdraw his petition, or did we? vote
No,
on
you
it?
did, you guys
We
voted
never
on it.
accepted it.
Yeah, we didn't
We
accept
Or
it.
you,
You didn't
yeah,
have a,
So he's still eligible as a write-in.
yeah, because it's for a different seat.
Oh, it's a different.
Yeah, because so instead of,
Okay.
ward, yeah, it's at large.
At-large.
Yeah.
There's no one running against that anyway.
there's no one running for that
So-
anyway, so if him and his wife vote, then he's in.
Yeah, so unless someone else decides to run it.
Yeah,
then
somebody
I
else
write in
runs.
too.
When's the due date for write-in?
I think it's like the 22nd or 26th.
It's 90
of
days
August.
before the general.
Or no, it's not 90, it's like
60.
60 or 70 something,
Okay.
yeah, for that one. So, so those are the numbers, that I've got in there so far. The only ones that would be Republican, of course, would be the city. Because if you keep going down below the city numbers there, Marietta city numbers, those would be for other nonpartisan ones. So I don't know if you guys want to vote on the amounts for the Republican and Democrat. The Democrat, actually, I wasn't able, they're on the back page. I wasn't able to find numbers actually to fill in for more than, for the first ward. I don't know if we would just want to make them similar numbers for the rest, make them similar to the Republican numbers maybe for, if we do order the Democratic ones. And if you want to just make a motion, pending what we find out, whether we would order them or not.
So they'd be either 50 or 25,
Right.
is what we're talking about.
Would it be cheaper to print our own at that point?
We usually don't like to print larger numbers because they cost more.
Oh, okay, so
So there's
just,
Yeah.
45 cents a ballot.
Yeah, they're around, versus like 37.
Yeah. And I'm taking it we'll get that lower rate even though we're not ordering the, 10,000
Right,
or
large numbers,
whatever.
we should. We have before, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I do know that they charge us, we had gotten them stapled, and you cannot get those ballots out without soiling the ballot. So we have to pay a little extra for the glue, which is
Yeah.
worth it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
this is quite a new state.
Oh, I know.
You can't.
You can't get them.
And yeah, it's much better for the poll workers
And-
and for us if we have to do anything.
Okay. So again, just relook on the front side, we've got the, these are the nons, I guess.
The nons are on the left,
Right.
yeah, and then
And
the
then
Republican are on the right.
Right. So the nons would just be, potentially, will only be people who are walking in and are unaffiliated.
Right, that would just want to vote on the school levy only.
Right. What happens if we're told, you don't need to print R and D because there's nothing contested? We're gonna be down then to just issues only, correct?
Right, so we could increase those numbers if we want to, we could double them maybe if we're.
It move at least the Rs or the D numbers over
Over
to the nons and so forth. I'm just thinking in terms of if we get we could make our decision now pending the, you know what I'm saying, the eventuality of, are we gonna do this, that, or the other thing, so that we don't have to come back in the session.
Right, come back to another meeting.
And do a single item. So,
Because this is, for the school levy, it is an income tax levy, so I'm thinking that might potentially bring, and it's additional, it's not a renewal.
renewal, so.
Yeah, it's an additional, so
I
that
think
might
there'll
bring
be
people out.
interest. It's been our experience that there's always interest. There's one other item here, I think, was it Fearing?
These are the, those are the other, because Fearing, there's a split that's Marietta.
Right.
Lawrence has a split that's Marietta City Schools, and then at the bottom there, Newport.
So those are issues only.
So those will be, and any of these ones for Marietta Township and Muskingum Township, those are all issues only.
Correct.
Which Marietta Township will have, they have the fire levy. Well, actually 3 fire levies on as well. So they'll have those 3 fire levies and the school levy.
Okay.
And then the Muskingum ones will just have the school levy only on those. And then for, on the front too, for Little Hawking, at the bottom of the front page, the Little Hawking, Rockland East, Rockland West, and Decatur, we did not have, they haven't had any levies on recently where there wouldn't be anything else, that would
There's
be on
nothing
the
to
ballot.
compare.
Right, nothing to compare to. So I just put the current number of registered voters there for now, so we'll need to decide what to add in for.
What's on their ballot?
It's just fire levy.
Fire emergency.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for ambulance, but it is for, it's for 2.6 mils, and then they're for a continuing period of time, both the Decatur and the Belfry. Which Belfry Township is the Little Hawking and the 2 Rocklands precincts.
These are registered voters. Can you help us perhaps out, if you recall? Little Hawking has 1,300. Is that comparable with Muskingum, any of the Muskingums? Is it
Probably closer
comparable?
to Muskingum West. Actually, I have the registered voter account here. It's actually pretty comparable to Belfry 3A
3A.
and the amount. So they had, Well, and 4A, they're pretty close to the same. So they had 98 and 150 people in 19 that came out.
So what are your suggestions?
I would say maybe if we did like 75
For each
for
one?
them, for little
For
hockey.
little hockey and
Yeah,
then 50
just
for
to
the
be-
others?
Yeah, and then 50 for the others because they're less.
So we'd have 75.
25?
And then, or you said 50 for the others, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was. I don't know if it's the yellow.
Right?
well, I'll tell you one thing, could be the pen, huh?
Well, that's-
Is that what she said?
Yeah, she's on there on the bottom.
Okay. Now, once again, when it comes to 1A, 2A, 3A, they're not going to have any issue. This is simply an
Right.
R.
just simply an R for them.
Belfry 4A's in Belfry Township?
No,
Oh.
There's the liquor option.
All the liquor.
Yeah, that's the one. So,
So if we have to, if we're told no, print the Ds, what are you thinking that we would simply follow I mean, the Rs are probably going to exceed the Ds in most of these, correct?
I would say so.
So we're going to be safe if we pick the R numbers, which are either a 50 or a 25.
Right,
Am I correct?
yeah. So we can just do the same amounts for,
And those are almost
those
the bare number.
precincts.
The 25 is the smallest we can
we
get
can
in.
get anyway, yeah. So we could use that, so there'd be 350 Republican ones for Marietta and for Democrats for Marietta then.
Does that sound plausible, workable?
So 350 for the Rs and how many for the Ds?
The same.
3? Okay.
If that sounds good to
Yeah,
everybody.
but again, if we are told that we're not doing that, we're gonna, do you want to move 1.5 over? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As opposed to just moving an R number over, figuring there will be Ds, but we'll just cut that number in half. So we're not getting too many. I'm saying if they say we don't need an R or D for Marietta.
Right, so that would increase the,
So we'd go 1.5 times, instead
Oh,
of
yeah.
doubling that order over, we'll just go 1.5. Okay. I mean, the advantage we have in Marietta, it's close if we did have to run them, but I'd rather not have to run
Right.
them.
and I can't see that we're gonna have to with the touch screens.
No, I think the
So-
touchscreens are, and again, if we just get a little more history, it'll be a lot easier to say, hey, this is the number we really need.
Mhm.
'Cause, I mean, I remember back in the day, the 105% on the Green Party, and we had 2 people vote in the entire county. You
Yeah,
had to buy, and you were buying
we were buying lots of ballots.
lots of ballots that,
No one uses.
you know, never.
And for the socialist and the
Right.
Constitution.
Constitution, libertarian.
Libertarian, yeah.
Okay. All right, so you're.
Yeah, so I think that sounds,
So I guess I need a motion to approve the ordering of ballots.
I'll make a motion, we order the ballots as we have shown here on our sheets. And also based on the recommendation from Secretary of State on the ballots on the Democrat.
And Republican, if we don't have to.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Cool. Did you want the drafts or
Yeah.
could you just kind of pass those along if we'd like to peruse them?
Yeah. And these are ones for each party, so I don't know if you just want to pass them down or.
Quick.
And then the issues only, they're paper clip.
We're removing one, somebody.
Yeah, his name
Gotta go,
accidentally.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Alex.
Nice
Good
to
seeing you.
all.
Take
Yeah.
care.
Thanks for coming,
Congratulations on the
Alex.
reorganization of
Thanks.
course.
Be safe.
We'll talk to you guys.
Yeah.
See ya. Gotta run. See you guys.
That one name I pulled that on by accident.
Yeah, that Madison.
Take the mask.
He's the guy that might file at large.
Right, as a write-in, yeah. When I sent the files to.
So that
to
will take,
RBM, his name was accidentally so.
It's a special training for
Right.
poll workers.
So
So
RBM did that from afar.
Mhm, write-in, since there will be a write-in in Belfry, so.
They have.
Will they be appearing here to put them in our
Yeah, to put it in the system.
screens?
So, once we, are good with everything.
Okay.
Because we'll start voting in here, I think it's April 6th. So,
That'll probably be before, yeah, it will be
Yeah,
before our
before
next
next.
meeting, so we'll want to discuss that in a moment. If we can, delivery trucks, United Rental.
yeah, I wondered if we wanted to go ahead and go with United Rental again.
They're the only ones that we work with us, I think, so.
I
Yeah,
think it's important to keep them on board even in a small election where we may only need, what, one?
we might, well, we'll have to see, maybe, because we'll have, on the east side, we'll have Reno, that'll be open that they normally deliver to. And then they won't have to go to Newport or Morris or any of those.
We
And I-
won't.
No,
So we have Reno's as far as we're going that side,
right, going that,
okay? And then the other direction, obviously, we're going to Belfry
right, to Belfry,
and to
Porterfield.
Porterfield.
so, and then we've got our Marietta.
And Barlow, Vincent, Warren, and all of them.
Beverly,
None of
Lowell,
those.
Waterford, Watertown.
So one might be fine for,
I'm thinking, the only reason, I'm just thinking, we stay in with them, but I guess if the delivery guys are at, just can't see their way clear, but I think one truck.
Yeah, no more than we have to do. I would say one truck ought to do the job.
I
Well,
guess-
and now that we know that these, if we can borrow the van again, and I'll ask the commissioners
Right,
from the county home, because I think we're still gonna need all the PPE that we had in November.
well, I think we better plan for it.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
It's always easier to get rid of it, and so to speak, or not deliver it, than
Mhm.
all of a sudden have to leap forward and do it.
and the state did ask us to do a survey a few weeks ago about how much PPE we already had left and how much we thought we might need. So,
So you've
So they're-
communicated all of that.
Yeah.
Are we in good shape?
Oh, yeah.
actually, yeah, for the primary, we don't need anything especially.
We might have to reorder for November, but,
I don't think too much.
Yeah.
we don't do, so.
or hopefully we.
I'm hoping
Or
that.
hopefully we don't need it at all.
That we don't have
I'm hoping
this.
that, I get my second shot in March and later.
Much better, yes.
So, you know,
Okay,
All right, so we're gonna do one United Rental. I suppose we need a motion to go with United Rental.
I'll make a motion, we, get a, truck for the election in, May from United Rental.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Annual expenses of the board submitted.
yeah, and that was a report they would have us do every year, so
I
that's
love
another
these
big
reports.
long.
I love it.
This is the long, the 11 by
It's got
14.
some color on it there. But so we have to go back through all of our records from the year and put in here what we spent all year on
Everything.
everything, yeah. and how much money we received in filing fees, for people turning in petitions and that kind of stuff too. even, so.
Yeah. Which is a fairly modest number compared to.
Yeah, especially last year was, because this year we'll actually have to make more money on filing fees because there's so many more offices up for election.
Right.
So,
Okay. So we took care of that, so life's good.
yeah, so it was submitted by the
We get,
deadline,
I think, the part of it, and then this goes to the state.
so we have it.
Is it that correct, Mary?
What's that?
We get part of those fees and the rest go to the state?
Yeah, the filing fees, it's prescribed by law how much we get to keep and how much it actually goes to the Ohio Elections Commission.
Yeah.
The other half of the money. So it doesn't go to the Secretary of State, but it goes to the Elections Commission. And actually, that's what I think they mostly work from. Their budget is just those filing fees or the part of the filing fees from each county. So,
You mean what percentage we get from filing fees? Nothing makes any difference.
not really, I haven't really figured out what
Doesn't make any
percentage
difference.
it is,
I
but,
just asked.
like for the trustees, theirs is 30, and I think we get 10 and they get 20 out of it.
Third.
But for these city offices, it's $45 is the filing fee. And we get 20 and they get 25. So it's a little more even.
And that's, I think, 30 for school board.
Yeah, it's school board and village are 32, so. And so it's the same price or same difference.
So
we
yeah,
get
we'll have a
that.
lot of candidates in November, presumably for school board and then
Mhm.
trustees.
Especially because there's 22 townships
Yeah.
and there's, this time it's 2 trustees that are up, so.
How come on the number of personnel section, there are only 2 full-time employees?
They don't include me and Karen, the director and deputy director for that, I guess they just consider
Oh, yeah,
me
I see.
full-time, yeah, so they don't put. And it may be because some counties only have their director, deputy director, don't have any other full-time staff, is maybe why they do it that way. And these are past ones they keep available on the Secretary of State's website too, that you can go back and look at them, and you can see all the other counties too in the state, so you can compare. I think they went back to 2016, was as far back as they have on the website. But it's kind of neat sometimes to go back and see what other counties, yeah. are.
Particularly similarly situated, size-wise,
Right.
sort of are.
Do we need to do anything with that? Do we need to approve it or? it's already
I don't
submitted?
think you'd have, yeah, because it's already been submitted.
Yeah.
You had to submit it by the 1st.
And so you're just updating us on the Oki printer. We haven't heard back from them.
Yeah, we haven't heard back from them any yet.
I'm ready
so,
to fight them, but they're not.
Do battle.
They don't ever send us, charges, actually, send us a bill. I don't know whether we should contact them again or whether we should let it
Contact you.
Yeah, so that, I was kind of thinking let it lie, but.
I saw 2 lawyers going instantly new.
Yeah.
Did not kick that with
Yeah,
the sound asleep.
We'll just let that one go then.
That's right. We feel very secure in our position.
Yes.
Then we had it looks like I mentioned to Melissa, she was telling us that they have been working on their, those hours
Oh, yeah.
on the comp and so
I'll try
forth.
to take some
And,
days off here and there.
right, and they're still working on that as we're approaching, we are gonna be approaching here in April, voting and so forth, which, I guess dovetails into what is, do we now know the layout that we're going to utilize when election, early voting
For early
starts
voting.
here?
Well, before we talk about that,
Oh,
I did
Oh, when you
get,
brought it in.
yeah, I'd like to submit this, Mr. Chairman, these, if we had the conference, we would have been able to talk to the vendors, but this is something that we're kind of looking at. And 4 voters can vote in this pod. And it's handicapped accessible, it fits, they have an apparatus that they put on it that fits our machines,
That you pay
So,
extra for.
that
but-
you pay extra for, but
naturally.
I don't
Yeah.
believe, this was a quote for 7. I'm not sure we need 7. I'm not sure we could fit 7 in here comfortably.
Yeah,
My recommendation would be 3 to 4.
and then there are curtains.
That we
I think it
can
shows in the
purchase.
corner there, on a different page, that you can purchase, they'll go,
$200,
yeah.
here you go.
No, they're freestanding. You'll see when it comes around, they're freestanding. And that'll, if we get 3, that means we get 12 voters in here at one time. How many different voters do we have back there? We had, what?
We had at least maybe 20.
Did we have 20
I
stations
think we
back
probably
there?
had at
Okay.
least
So I'm
16
saying,
maybe, but
next year for the gubernatorial, we might have to reconsider, and who knows, we still, the commissioners are now doing building inspections. So I think everything as far as the remodeling from the children's services, the JFS is kind of on hold right now, so who knows, maybe. they
Well,
would not
Kadeen
do it.
might know.
Don't talk
Well,
business.
yeah, she can't talk business. So, but I think that's something, and this is something I would only suggest that we use in here. I would not suggest that we take those out to the precincts, personally.
Well, I
Because
would
we have plenty of
suggest you're
space.
right, unless HAVA funds, grants, aids
yeah.
come trickling along. It might be one of those things where if you see that coming along, we would buy them for use in another day or
Mhm.
whatever, and take a look at, how many places we have for this, that, or the other thing.
Does it say on there, Kadeen, like how many square foot or whatever space it would,
We would require.
yeah. Or it takes up at least?
It does. The shelf depth is 20.5 inches.
Mhm.
The width between the outside legs is 32, a little less than 3 feet. Doesn't tell us what the height is, but we probably don't care about that.
Yeah, I'd say we isn't taller than. Charlie's coming to draw first. Unless you're jiggling.
Is it possible,
Could do one.
use what contacts you have? Why don't you call 2 or 3 places other Board of Election functions?
Oh, that have had them? Mhm.
Well, and try to find them.
Okay.
And say, how much space do you guys,
Doesn't seem like they take up.
Yeah.
if you're trying to plot and plan, how many feet, do you need, for something like that? Or if you had a room that's 22 by 16, how many could you put in it?
Yeah.
Well, and we could still leave the freedom vote. We could, because we rarely have, we could still put one freedom vote here in the corner or something, and then,
I mean, we want maybe 1 or 2 on a table for people that, would need to sit.
Well, but
Or,
don't,
well, that would lower too.
Yeah, those
They're lower.
So,
yeah.
yeah, so you
We could
just
do that.
keep a chair there, and then if you need to roll the chair away for a wheelchair,
Right, then do
we'd be
that.
all set.
Do one on that wall, or close to that wall, 2 along this longer wall and 1.
Okay.
So I think at
Still
least
have
4
room
would
for
fit in.
Yeah, still for the,
That's what I thought.
So, and 4 times
4.
4, that'd be 16.
That's 16,
Yeah.
and that's
That's pretty good.
a lot.
Mm-hmm. So I think that would, for the primary, that'll definitely would be fine, and I think for the general election.
For this
probably,
general, yeah.
For this year. So,
Yeah, well, we'll be pointing toward the gubernatorial.
Yeah.
So forth.
like,
And again, we'll know more about, what space,
right, we'll have the
et cetera. But again, if we keep our eye open for funds, this could be
Mhm. And those pack up, like in a small,
Yeah, it looks like they're on wheels, looks like,
if we buy more, then,
which makes it nice,
yeah, store it well.
because their, height doesn't make any difference, but doesn't make any difference, but 9.5 inches wide once they're folded up. That's not,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's,
get rid of those booths, there's plenty of room, to put them back there.
yeah, exactly.
Which we need to get back a hold of other counties and finalize.
Oh, I say they're pretty heavy, yeah.
One of them, so.
Yeah, I think.
I hope they stand up and they're easier to put together than those
Yeah.
booths. I mean, they're a pain.
I might give this guy, he just sent that to us, because he, well, actually it was sent to Peggy, I think, and me, so.
Well, that's another thing, I'll bet he could tell you.
Yeah,
Yeah, with we might be over.
and I'm not sure if this is the same vendor that we spoke to, because I think you and Peggy and I spoke last year at conference. I can't remember if this was the same vendor, I might ask, Peggy, but I'm sure there's other vendors that have these as well, and we can get a price comparison too, but.
You could probably go on their website.
But they-
have a video of.
Yeah,
how you set
But
it
they
up.
know that we use no ink, and they have the apparatus that goes on
Well,
to,
based on those numbers, we need 6 square feet without anyone in them per booth.
Yeah, and if you're gonna put them in a way where people are walking behind, then we have to at least consider the possibility of some kind of,
the curtains are 99 apiece.
yeah, I know, but I'm wondering if our good
This is
people
how
that made these
That's what I saw, yeah.
Oh,
could
yeah,
increase the size of the plastic to a more substantial diameter pipe-wise and build them up with, again, the foot pods, a similar sort of an apparatus, if you will, just sturdier. And put a very light curtain material that doesn't weigh much, easily moved, and that would be just kind of freestanding almost behind.
Yeah, do we have any curtains left from anything that we've ever used?
No.
But I'm just saying, if you're looking at material, and Lord knows I don't know much about material, but I'm thinking some,
See, you can even put it.
what do you call those, shears or something you hang on
Right, I mean, you can get a.
some kind of
you
weight
probably
like
go to
that may be a little more solid.
Joanne Fabrics and buy some.
Yeah, I'm just saying as a possibility that might get them done locally, our kids.
Yeah, well, I bet we could went out to the career center,
That's what I'm saying, yes, and let them construct something.
Yeah,
They'd have to give a little thought to it because whatever it is, you can't have anything on the ground that you're gonna walk over.
Yeah, well, we can
Have
show them that
feet.
picture so that they
But,
can,
yeah.
You gotta be able
maybe
to,
model off of.
yeah. So, anyway, thought.
Well, what this is, it says for the curtains, it's a curtain rod snap in place. So obviously, if we even get our own curtain rods, I don't know if it's a special kind or whatever, but I'll inquire and
All right.
we won't obviously have them for early voting this time, but probably like in November.
Yeah.
We could probably get,
Maybe you'd show it to those folks and they'd be able to build them for them.
yeah.
You never know.
Okay. So we'll start our election, we're good. Did anybody have anything to bring up or questions or issues or whatnot? Because I think we're pretty much at the end.
Oh, I did speak with, both Jed and Jeff.
Oh, yes, people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jeff's recommendation is that we have the voting location managers learn as much about those machines as they possibly can. He says it would save him and Jed from having, his most anything that they've done when they go is an easy fix, you know. A ballot gets stuck and they'll call, and then they don't realize that the back of that ballot, you know, the OVO opens up and they can put it in that way. You know, so things like that. So, so as far as the training, what I'm gonna do is bring in all the voting location managers and Jeff and Jed, they were both willing to help and really get them comfortable with anything that happens to, you know, those machines. I know the big thing in November were these codes, because they have to show the codes to get the ballot.
Oh, if we're on the, for the codes for the poll books?
Yes,
Or for the
yes.
voting machine?
I think for both, because I heard a lot about codes.
Well, I know Jeff was talking about, because he came in and talked.
Oh, did he?
Good, yeah, when we were off. And it's the codes for the poll book that you use to update the people who voted absentee between when the data is loaded on the poll book of who had voted till, you know, the end of voting. So there's this barcode, and some of them are large. They're like this big, that they have to scan with the poll book to update those absentee voters that have happened in between time. And the poll workers all seem to have trouble with those. So Jeff has had to go out and help, and I think maybe Jed has helped some too with those. So if that could, you know, if they don't scan those, someone who came in like and voted in here on Monday could vote again in person at polls on Tuesday, election day.
Okay, tell me, just refresh our memory. The poll books go to the voting location during the day on Monday?
Right, well, they load them on the truck on Friday.
Right.
And they get delivered on Monday. So we wait till that Thursday at least before they get loaded on the truck to update them, you know, to put who's voted so that you get as many as possible.
Right. So again, on Friday, you're saying at that point, they're sealed
Right,
with the information we have.
yes,
So we basically have probably what happened on Friday,
yeah. all
Saturday, the weekend, Monday.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's not on them yet, so that's what they
Right.
have to add Tuesday morning.
right. And then on Tuesday morning, they have to go do this.
Yeah.
All right. What's the process like? I mean, physically, what do you have to do?
It's not hard. What they have to do is take the poll book off the stand. So it's sitting there, you know, attached to its stand. That's how the guys have set it up. So they have to take it off the stand, which there's a couple little like things you push on the back, yeah, to release it. And then you hold it up just like you would your phone.
Yeah.
To, you know, to get the barcode within your camera.
That's it.
And that's it.
Well, you know, I get back to the one time we was back here in training, and you said something about come up here, who wants to come up here and try? You know, they didn't want to do that until
Right.
you said that. And we need to hands-on,
Yeah.
like we did that one day.
Yeah.
And really make them touch and do
Well, and their suggestion is that's something that the VLNs and the leaders, average Joe poll worker shouldn't have to mess with the machines.
it. And we don't want them to.
Exactly. We want them to, you know, register and get them voted. So I think that's why Jeff and Jed have suggested that we bring them in, really get them comfortable with those machines, you know, kind of do any troubleshooting or anything like that might give them more, because I think they're also just scared, you know, of breaking it or, you know, doing something to it. And I mean, there are proper ways that things need to be shut down, as we very well learned in November. So, you know, that's just something that we really, and remember, this was just the second election that we used these machines. So even though we had probably 60% of our poll workers were new, never had worked in an election before either.
So-
Now, all the voting location managers are seasoned, but
So when I came back there and talking about did we ever ask the question to all the poll workers? What worked well, what did not?
not yet.
That's where the information that Deb,
And we do have, well, they come back in because they have to write down problems.
Yeah,
And
they
we
write
go
down
through
problems through
those.
the day.
We go through those. And most of those were, the other thing they really need to learn is the provisionals.
Yeah.
And making
that's-
sure things are in the proper bag that need to be there, because once they seal those, just like those provisionals we found after you guys did the official audit, you know, you couldn't even look at those ballots. So we need to make sure the processes, and what we have heard from poll workers is like they would like a step-by-step guide. This is what you do.
which we had at one time.
And I think we
Well,
still
we still
do.
have, yeah,
I
we
think
still
we
have
still
one,
do.
but
They gotta
apparently,
get it out and follow.
Yeah,
And
And I-
it says give it to them, they don't follow.
and I think maybe just the BLMs look at those, and maybe that's something, and maybe in this new training that we create, is that's something that every poll worker gets, just in case they need it. But like I said, once it comes to those machines, leaders and BLMs are really the only people that really, I believe, and I think that's what Jeff and Jed were saying as well, need to do the.
So we need that's the content of the training comes from this, what worked well, what didn't work.
Yes. And what I,
I think Charlie was talking about getting their hands on it.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I would do something where you'd have maybe 2 or 3 people go through an issue that's a problem, and then talk to the whole group about what they did in that small group. So that's kind of the way I would
Yeah.
do it.
Well, like I say, I want to start with just the VLMs and the leaders first, and so.
So we need a simulation, we need job aids.
Leaders, every precinct should have a leader.
Which is different than a BLM.
Yes, the VLM is the
It's for the whole
location manager.
location.
They're for the
Yeah.
entire, like, Mike Weber is the
Yeah,
leader for
right.
down at the fairgrounds,
Mhm.
or
oh,
manager.
yeah, man.
And then they have leaders for each precinct.
Which what we've had them do is, the voting location manager calls all the leaders, and then the leaders call all the 3 other poll workers
Yeah.
underneath of them
Now, this
to
primary,
try to break up.
we are only obligated to have 1 D and 1 R for each precinct, since it's a smaller primary. So we won't have as many this year, obviously, and we're not opening, or at least for
For the primary, yeah.
So we're really starting to point toward a general, and we're gonna have everybody there.
Yes, yeah, that training, I think, will happen throughout the summer. But
I
the
have a-
BLMs I can get right now.
See, I have a feeling part of the problem you have with the BLM is they're gonna get a call about, while they're there, where the crock pot goes, where the electricity is, where this is. Charlie doesn't know where to put the flag, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it seems to me that I'm wondering if you ought to at least talk to them. Are they being pulled in 7 different directions when it's time to go ahead and, the poll book? I gotta unclip it. I gotta do that. Meanwhile, I'm getting 17 other questions.
Yeah.
And there has to be some form of delegation where they go talk to Eileen.
Yeah,
I'm
Which
doing,
might be
I
the
have
leader.
this. Eileen is handling the paper on the wall or whatever.
Well, there's gotta be job aids too. Something that this list would be a job aid. So the things that we have the most problems with, we've got to have more clear job aids. Something they can go back to and say, well, this is where we had our problems, we didn't.
and I just wonder, I'm like you, I wonder, and Kadeen, please, because you've been a poll worker, so you know. I wonder if the VLM actually does go through that book. Because like she said, I mean, we have pictures, and
And they have a flip chart too that comes from the Secretary of State that kind of goes step by step for them
Each
too.
side
I don't think they review it,
Okay.
until there's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
Because
Okay.
their experience, and I think they're comfortable doing what they've always done. So
Exactly,
I don't think they review it every time until
Yeah.
an issue comes up.
yeah.
Then you're kind of frantically searching through.
Right,
it.
while you've already got other people trying to get your attention for something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I
I
understand
do
that.
think we need to make sure we do get them together to ask that question. though.
Yeah.
Won't work well like this.
Yeah, and again, I think it would be good to again, have a discussion about who do I work well with? Because we've always had that come up. I work very well. And what that is the person knows that this individual's skill set really fills in some of the blanks, if you will, of my skill set and whatnot. So I'm comfortable because I can put her on the flag duty
Right, I know
and the
this, she
handicap
knows
and the
that.
signage. And meanwhile, but when that person's not there, I'm now telling 3 different people, they gotta go do this, and then someone goes, she's not doing it the way
Yeah.
this lady did it.
That's a good new question. Who do I
And,
work well with? Who do I have problems with? So you're talking about the personality. That play down in this every.
And I will give you this, the VLMs are very good about that. They know if they've been there a while.
What is the
There's
BLM?
voting location manager or BLM, building location manager. Yeah, because there is one poll worker, I think that one time was a leader, and, I think the board a few years back said, do not have this person be a leader anymore. But this person still works and is an excellent just
It's a poll worker.
poll worker that is not a leader.
Does this person get along with everybody?
I think so, I think there was just.
Generally.
Yeah.
You demote somebody, sometimes you get a.
And we have demoted people, or it has been demoted before,
Yeah.
so. And my question to you is, how should I handle, because we don't need as many, and we only need 1D, 1R from each, or unaffiliated, in each precinct, how should I go by seniority? Or should we keep the interest of these newer poll workers?
I don't think seniority is necessarily what it is.
Just do first come, first served.
Yeah. I think that's what I'll do.
I mean, and since there are less people, we'll want to make sure, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
People that'll
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Yeah, because they're still gonna be putting all the same stuff up, so to speak, responsible for this, that, answering the questions.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be losing a voting location manager in Newmat, Blaze.
Oh, well, for November.
Yeah, for November.
Well, we
He,
won't have them
he,
for.
he picked up the paperwork to run
Right.
for mayor.
The answer there is try to grab somebody maybe from that group
Ask
that you
him.
could come down to
Yeah.
Reno, that they could, you could work them in and tell them, look you're gonna be, you've agreed that in November, you're gonna just plan ahead. Can you come for Reno in,
Okay, okay.
during the primary?
Might be
and
Mandy's
get some
mom.
hands-on experience, so you're not,
I don't think
I'll
that'll
make her a
happen, I'm
cake.
sorry.
You're
He
not-
wants to make her cake.
I would
you're
ask-
not drifting around.
I would ask Blaze to recommend.
Yeah,
someone
okay.
and see.
Who do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the same way with Jed. Can Jed work anywhere except his precinct? Because Jed will be on the ballot.
Yeah, so he could work.
As long as it's not his.
As long,
Yeah.
so he may have to go west side this time, and I don't know.
Well,
if
he'll be
Delta's
on the ballot in,
November.
yeah, but in Newport, he wouldn't be able to work in the Newport precinct.
Okay.
He could work anywhere, or polling location. He could work anywhere else.
But he's not a poll worker, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's been a poll worker for us too.
Oh,
Yeah.
we certainly.
And he'll have access to the machines and everything, so.
Yeah, well, introduce them to Porterfield.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Yeah,
it's not gonna cross over anywhere out in Porterfield.
yeah.
That would be good. But I do think, that Glenn is right. Maybe on this small election where we have a little more time and there's not quite as much push, could be a real good time to educate. Because there's not so much pressure.
Yeah.
And so they really can ask questions, et cetera. You don't have to have as large a group. But the other thing is, I think, and Kadeen pointed it out when she was talking about Blaze, talk to these people about, is there an inner group? And I'm not trying to make friends or anything, but people you trust, people you know, that we could likewise bring in and educate, so that when it comes time at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever, there are people that'll be in charge of other little groups that are setting up this, putting up flags, doing this, doing that, et cetera. And you're taking care of the very important things that allow on the dot, when the clock hits 12, boom, we're open for business, and you're very comfortable because everything else was taken care of, and the serious issues you're in charge of. And so forth. I just think could be handy, and it's sort of like trying to develop some teams and so forth of folks that are gonna be comfortable. And the same thing with provisionals. I think we ought to, at some point, have people that are nominated to get special training on provisional.
That might not be bad.
Because where we're gonna get clipped one day is finding those 12 or 15
Right.
provisional ballots that we didn't count in a race that has three vote difference.
Yeah.
Right, that makes a difference.
And it's gonna make a huge difference, and we don't wanna be the group going, we didn't find these.
Right.
So I think if we have a provisional team,
That's the third part.
that really understand provisionals, are comfortable with it.
Yeah, we definitely need.
And so they get a lot more training on that, not near as much about the poll books and stuff.
Right.
They know provisionals up front and down.
That and the GLM.
Yeah, needs to.
Yeah. So that way we, can sort of have some team sharing and expertise. And so.
Now, I know you pay mileage for the VLMs. Do the leaders get mileage if they come in for a meeting as well? They should?
I think they should.
Well, if they're getting trained, they get training money, right?
Right, they get training money.
So,
Usually for the voting location managers, we don't give them mileage to the training, just when they come to pick up the ballots.
Ballots.
Yeah, and to the polling location.
okay.
And another thing, Jeff has said that he was gonna be retiring from our delivery crew.
Who said that?
Jeff,
Ingram?
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Didn't he call you? He called me 3 times.
Oh, he called me that many times too.
So,
He's been off the phone for
And
me.
that's fine. But I thought he was pretty firm about it.
yeah, so we might need to be looking for another Republican.
When does he plan to retire?
He doesn't wanna work this May election.
Not even-
Oh, he doesn't want to work in
No,
May,
yeah.
but he'll do the training.
He was willing to help with this training
I thought
meeting.
he was kind of on this.
I thought he changed his mind, was gonna work.
Well, he kept calling them.
Last he told me is he was not.
And he was just in here this week.
So, yeah,
It said what?
He
but he
was.
was not going to work.
Well,
He said he would help with that training and that was it,
I guess we've got a stake in the ground then.
so.
So,
So we need someone to take his place on the delivery crew.
Right,
and to know what, or we need to promote someone with it, because he was a roamer.
yeah, he was one of our
So
road
we need
crews.
somebody that knows those machines, so I don't know. See, we got Jed on one side, we can't have Tom, because Tom's a Democrat, so I don't know if Jack Hansis is
Yeah,
interested.
I don't know.
But I do know that Debbie likes having Jack at the, at her voting location. Because Jack does a lot of troubleshooting, I think, there for them, so.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have, unfortunately, you're saying that this is required, come April.
Yes,
in a month or less.
so if you have
Yeah.
anyone in
Pretty
mind,
soon.
So you better,
Charlie and I will brainstorm.
yeah.
Needs to be a technical comment first.
Right. Well, and Jeff said, I haven't, or I don't know if anybody else has talked to Dennis Benninger that we have on the delivery side, on the Democratic side. If he's going to, Jeff had said he was not gonna look again, but he's not said anything to us, here in the
Yeah,
office,
he's never
so I
said
don't know.
maybe we oughta, I was gonna say, we probably need to contact those folks just to find out.
Yeah,
So,
Secondarily, what is your plan for early voting? Are you believing that if you're putting equipment here, whether we use our old-fashioned tables and
mhm.
what have you, are the four of you gonna handle it?
I think we need at least 2 people, just in case.
I mean, it might not hurt.
What does it?
I think the weekends we can.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'd have to have them like, for any overtime that we can get to where we'd be paying any
Yeah.
overtime.
But,
Because we're only open one weekend anyway, this election.
Right.
So, I mean, we could probably do that one, but it might not hurt to have.
I think at least, well, you can't have one without the other, so I think
Yeah.
we're gonna have to have 2.
Yeah, but what are you planning on working? Have you,
I'd say they could even be part-time. I mean, I just can't see a
Yeah.
lot of, and I don't know, maybe like you say, the school levy is gonna bring out a lot of people.
They could maybe even come in like a 10,
Yeah, maybe
or like 10 to
10 to
5,
4,
or
10 to 5 or
10 to
something.
4 or something like that.
I think you gotta have a lot of people coming out to the
School levy.
school levy.
Because around 10 o'clock is when it always starts getting busier.
Yeah,
I mean, you have a few people between 8 and
Yeah.
10, but by 10, people started,
and Sunday,
woke
for some
up.
reason, you're always busy on Sunday.
Yeah, Sundays are big.
So I think people go to church and then say, let's go eat and then go home.
Yeah, that's what they,
So, but yeah, I think at least 2.
Okay, you have 2 in mind.
Well, Sheila Lovett as the
Is that the
Democrat.
white-haired lady?
Yes.
Okay.
And then,
maybe see if Anita.
Anita,
Yeah,
White,
she did good.
And
Well, they're not-
we don't have to train them,
Anyway, so-
they're,
well, that's where it's
That's the
gonna
people
be.
that
And
want-
they already
Yeah,
know what they
yeah.
want.
We're gonna train and go.
Yeah, I mean, they might need a slight refresher, for a couple
Yeah.
months in between here, but that,
Right.
yeah.
Well, then we should probably be contacting.
Well,
them.
if we're keeping
I've already
everything
told-
in
I've
this
already
room,
told Sheila.
And I think we could.
2 is all you're ever gonna be able to have.
Yeah, because you don't want too many people.
Because you can't have a big crowd in this
No,
room.
no, yeah,
Especially if you're trying to do social distancing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, just the whole notion of human beings trying to vote and whatnot. You don't want it overcrowded where people are,
and they
you're-
we can still use the N, and then we'll use this as the L.
Yeah, we could have people go.
Or we can still have them go
No,
on the
no,
hall.
I mean, where's your scanner? Right there?
Mhm.
Yeah, we could put it right there by the.
I mean, that's where you have, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't scan it there and walk them back
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
Yeah,
All right, well, that sounds good, probably kind of part-time. 10
Yeah.
Yeah.
hours.
yeah, and I think that'd be plenty enough for this time.
And I think you, obviously, again, if it turns out the traffic is just so slow,
Yeah, then we can.
Well, just
have
say,
even-
you know,
that you
yeah.
can, explain to people.
Well, and
you know, this
Anita,
is our
she likes the
thought process.
part-time, because I know she's involved in a lot of things.
Yeah.
She's-
Right.
And I think
Obviously, they
Anita would
still
like
have their
that too,
studio,
so.
so.
And
there
then
may
if
be
you wanna
time.
shift off, they can also do the,
Well, and depending on Debbie.
Yeah, somebody needs to.
Debbie
hang
no,
out.
I'm
Hansen's
just saying
working
that
there.
also to allow the clerks or something could come in here, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Just a break
yeah.
in the routine.
Yeah,
Or our clerks are busy inputting
for mailing out.
yeah, and then the incoming and so forth, so when we're counting the number of ballots and the number of envelopes, we
Right,
get
we're
the
matching.
Yeah.
same numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't received a lot of absentee ballot requests at this point.
We've gotten maybe 2
Yeah,
filled out. so
Like
far.
I said, this
yeah,
could be a slow
We
election.
had maybe 5
A lot
other
of
people
book
call,
reading.
but
yeah. All elections.
All right.
This is local.
Is there anything else you'd like us to discuss? We can be done at 10 o'clock.
As I say, I think that's the biggest thing, or, other was, like, find other people to work with.
Yeah, you guys, and to be honest, you might have some backups as well. I mean, because the average age of our delivery workers, is kind of up there. So, I know, and it's physical work. I mean, it's.
Well, it's hard to do if you're not retired.
Yeah.
And you don't
and
have the
it's,
time
but,
off work
people
to do it,
who
so.
want to take the time off or whatever, but it is hard to find. So,
But it is,
yeah,
physical.
we need them.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because you gotta be off work, and that's older people.
Right. But still well enough, in shape enough.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
people.
I remember Athens used some hook with OU. Don't you remember we went over there once and their delivery people were decidedly OU
Oh,
students
wow.
or OU people who lived
Uh-huh.
in Athens that attended school. And so they were available, because of their,
Mhm.
they worked out their school thing at least, for this day, that day,
For a
that
couple
sort of
days,
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
maybe contacting Marietta College or Washington State or something also. Again, having some kind of a contact person or
Yeah.
something that says, do you have students that might be interested in doing
Right.
this sort of
Well, let's go
thing?
through our
They'd be
parties
able to
first,
work
and then if
out.
we find,
Yeah.
big
You
guys, then
know,
I
a
can
part of
go
their
through the.
program and so forth,
community.
so they get a class credit for an hour or whatever,
Right.
special credit.
And I have not heard if, LEs are gonna be offered this year for attorneys or real estate agents and
Is it the
social workers.
Yeah, then.
So the Secretary of State has not said anything about that, so. Other news, Congress is debating House Bill 1 right now, if you guys have been interested in hearing anything about that. That's almost sounds, it's federalizing a lot of the election procedures, so that might throw a different curve into our processes as
Yeah,
well.
and the Secretary of
If
State,
it's passed.
LaRose, has written a letter
Yes.
against asking people to vote against.
And then Ohio's General Assembly sent a letter yesterday also.
Yeah, against it.
So, just FYI, I don't, in Ohio, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I'm sure there are other states.
Frankly, if people followed our system, you'd get election results a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Right.
This notion you can't start counting ballots till election day,
Yeah, I really hope
nigh on to ridiculous.
maybe states will realize that and change
When you
their,
have the ton of ballots that
individual
you
laws.
might have in a given election,
Yeah.
and they gotta transport them in.
Yeah.
So,
So April 14th?
Yes.
that would be
Oh,
when,
yeah.
oh yeah, that's when it would be the normal time.
Works for me.
I
Oh,
don't
wait,
know.
you have to meet on, oh, no, you only meet on election day, right?
Yeah, they'll meet in May for election day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to meet any other time for us to finalize the ballots. Because we just got this rough draft of them yesterday, so we haven't had time to proof them.
By when do you need?
He would, I don't know when Mike would be able to come in, to finish them. Look at calendar here.
So Marietta City only has 2 council at large for 3 members?
Yeah.
So both Marietta.
Yeah, for Democrat, there's 2, and then for Republican, there's 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No contact.
We have to have our ballots ready for any UOCAVA people, which we haven't got any requests for yet, but those are military and overseas voters, by the 19th. So we have to have it approved before, enough before then, that we can get it programmed.
So is the 14th enough time? Or should we meet the prior
Maybe
Wednesday,
like
the 7th?
Or would that be? Because this would be for. maybe
When do
the
you have to have
12th?
it, March 19th?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, sorry, March, yeah. Because it's 45 days before the election. So I don't know if we can do like the 12th or any other.
well, it'd just be a quick meeting just for that, right?
Yeah, it would, you
Yeah,
just
it
have
would
to
be
come
just for
in.
that only.
12th is fine with me.
That Friday?
That's next
The
Friday.
12th March?
Yeah,
Next Friday.
And we could do whatever time anybody needed.
Me too.
we get I get my blood work done here though.
Yeah, I get mine at 8.
So
That's
if we
the
could
day.
maybe have it maybe at 10? Or if you want to do lunch, whatever.
That make any difference, 'cause
March 12th,
If we're not gonna do it first thing of the day, then how about noon?
okay, that sounds fine.
Are you good with?
March 12th, noon.
Noon, yep. Okay,
March 12th will be our next day. And that should be 10 minutes.
Yeah,
We have to give notice,
yeah,
yeah, we'll put up.
special meeting.
all right, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
If by that date, though, you could also tell us about delivery people, that if you contacted everybody and firmed up
Yeah.
who
I'll come
Yeah,
in.
there.
who
Yep.
is, and
I can do all that.
start looking for names.
All right.
Give your signature, please.
Oh, sure.